Imagine walking into a store filled wall to wall with toys. A giant giraffe mascot smiling at you. Shelves stacked higher than your head, filled with everything from Barbie dolls to Hot Wheels to the latest video games. For decades, Toys R Us was more than a store, it was a childhood dream come true. But in 2017, this $12 billion empire filed for bankruptcy. How did the king of toys go from dominating childhoods around the world, to disappearing almost overnight? This is the rise and fall of Toys R Us, and the lessons every business owner can learn from their story. The rise, building the toy kingdom. The story starts in 1948 with Charles Lazarus. He was only 25 years old when he opened a baby furniture store in Washington, D.C. After World War II, there was a baby boom in America, and Lazarus saw an opportunity. Soon, he noticed something. Customers kept coming back, not for cribs or furniture, but for toys. Kids quickly outgrew toys, and parents constantly had to buy new ones. That meant repeat customers. Lazarus pivoted his business, focusing entirely on toys. By 1957, he launched the first official Toys R Us store. It was revolutionary, one of the first category killers. Instead of a small toy aisle in a department store, this was a warehouse-sized store dedicated only to toys. The idea worked. Kids begged their parents to go. Parents knew they'd find everything in one place. Toys R Us became the one-stop shop for childhood happiness. Peak success, becoming the king of toys by the 1980s and 1990s, Toys R Us was the undisputed leader in toys. They had over 1,400 stores worldwide, bringing in billions in sales. Their mascot, Geoffrey the Giraffe, became a household name. And their famous jingle, "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid," captured the imagination of an entire generation. At their peak, Toys R Us controlled 25% of the global toy market. They were the go-to destination for every Christmas, every birthday, every holiday season. If you wanted toys, you went to Toys R Us. The company had everything: scale, brand recognition, and cultural dominance. It looked unstoppable. The competition arrives: Walmart, Target, and Amazon. But in business, no king holds the crown forever. By the 1990s, big box retailers like Walmart and Target began expanding their toy sections. They didn't specialize in toys, but they had something even more powerful: low prices. Toys R Us had variety, but Walmart had convenience. Parents could buy groceries, clothes, and toys all in one trip, often cheaper than Toys R Us. Then came the real disruptor, Amazon. In 2000, Toys R Us made what looked like a smart move. They signed a 10-year partnership with Amazon to be the exclusive toy seller on Amazon's website. At the time, e-commerce was new, and this seemed like a way to stay ahead. But it was a disaster. Amazon allowed other toy sellers onto the platform, violating the deal. Toys R Us sued, and eventually won in court. But by the time they regained control, it was too late. Amazon had already trained millions of parents to shop online for toys. Toys R Us, once an innovator, was suddenly behind the curve. Strategic mistakes, debt and mismanagement. Competition wasn't the only problem. Toys R Us also made some fatal internal mistakes. In 2005, a group of private equity firms bought the company in a $6.6 billion leveraged buyout. That means they loaded Toys R Us with massive debt. Every year, the company had to pay over $400 million just in interest. This left almost no money to invest in e-commerce, better stores, or innovation. While Walmart and Amazon modernized, Toys R Us stores started to feel outdated. The experience declined too. Long lines, poor customer service, and messy shelves made shopping less enjoyable. For parents, convenience started to outweigh nostalgia. And when kids stopped begging to go to Toys R Us, the magic was gone. The fall, bankruptcy and store closures by the mid-2010s, the writing was on the wall. Sales were shrinking, debt was piling up, and competition was stronger than ever. In 2017, Toys R Us officially filed for bankruptcy, with $5 billion in debt. The following year, they closed or sold all 735 US stores. For many, it felt like the end of an era. Parents who grew up as Toys R Us kids had to explain to their children why the iconic stores were disappearing. It wasn't just a business failure, it was a cultural loss. Attempts at a comeback even after bankruptcy, the brand didn't completely die. Investors tried to bring back smaller stores. Geoffrey the Giraffe even made appearances at new concept shops and inside Macy's locations. But it never returned to its former glory. In today's world, the toy business is dominated by e-commerce and big box retailers. The era of the giant toy warehouse is over. Lessons from Toys R Us. So, what can we learn from the rise and fall of Toys R Us? 1. Never stop innovating. Toys R Us pioneered the toy superstore. But once they had success, they stopped pushing forward. By the time Amazon took over, they were years behind in e-commerce. 2. Beware of debt. The leveraged buyout buried the company. Instead of investing in the future, all their money went to paying interest. Debt can kill even the strongest businesses. 3. Customer experience matters. Parents remember the long lines, messy aisles, and high prices. Walmart and Amazon weren't more fun, they were simply easier. Convenience beats nostalgia when money and time are tight. 4. Don't rely only on brand power. Toys R Us had an iconic brand. But even the strongest brand can't save a company that refuses to adapt. At its peak, Toys R Us was more than just a store, it was a childhood memory factory. But in business, even giants can fall if they don't adapt, innovate, and listen to their customers. So here's the question: if Toys R Us had embraced e-commerce earlier, could they still be alive today? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Toys R Us, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more stories about money, business, and the companies that shaped our world. And as always, keep stacking knowledge, and I'll see you in the next one.